Hi, this is George Sammann. I'm the founder and CEO of Growth Drive. Growth Drive is the #1 best-selling business advising platform, and this is our podcast, the Business Advisor Hot Seat. Now, in the hot seat, you're going to hear from industry leaders, thought leaders, your colleagues who are going to share tips, techniques, war stories about building a thriving advisory business based on delivering client wins. We're going to get into it. We'll get into it about the Growth Drive methodology, the Clarity software, what we see out in the world, so much more than just the system. And I'm also the author of the Growth Driving Advisor, which is based on over a decade of being an advisor to advisor, working with you and your colleagues, helping them build their practices, helping them through client engagements. And it's really proven strategies for leading businesses from stuck to best in class. Check it out. So strap in. We're going to light this up. Here we go. Hello, everyone, and we're going to do something a little different this week here on the hot seat. And I had a conversation yesterday with a guy, a professional who is in the wealth planning space. And we've had several conversations, and he is a dedicated student of exit planning. And specifically, that doesn't give him full credit. He's a student of helping his firm's business owning clients have their dreams come true, right? Achieve their, what we would call strategic intent personally. Now, exit planning falls under that. And after our conversation, I was doing some thinking, and part of our conversation, and it's a rich one, right? I am on record as committed to providing the framework through which wealth advisors, exit planning wealth advisors on the one hand, and growth advisors on the other, growth advisors, business advisors, management consultants, business coaches, reformed EOS implementers, CPAs, investment bankers, fractional CFOs, and more. How do we connect the wealth advisor who is having a lot of fun and making a lot of money doing what they do with growth advisors who are committed to helping the business owner reach their strategic intent? The wealth advisor cares is what we call an educator, right? If you remember are you a 1 or a 5, where 1 is a talker, a 2 is an educator, they educate the clients, a 3 is the architect, the planner, a 4 is the general contractor who's going to help turn the plan into reality. They are the co-driver, rally term, co-driver with the business owner, the CEO. They might be, if you don't like rally, you want to go with Formula One. They are in the pit. They're the strategist, right? In the pit, who's relaying information to the driver and making sure they stay on course. I like co-driver better. If you don't understand, Google rally co-driver and then watch some YouTube and your adrenaline will get spiked. Anyway, wealth advisor has absolutely no interest in lifting the hood and turning the wrenches, in pouring fluids into the engine, and frankly, in getting behind the wheel. But they do have a profound interest and an immortal interest, right, in helping this individual, this family, achieve their wealth goals. The business becomes the vehicle for getting there. I'm keeping the analogy going, right? The business becomes the vehicle for getting them there. And the growth advisor, the growth driver, is the person who can say, okay, the business is generating 10 million now with 1.2 of net income. It needs to generate 2.4 of net income in order for us to be able, at the top end of the range of multiples, get the amount of money you need. There are a lot of terms in here. Listen to the implications. Net the amount of money you need after, tax, title, and tags, after paying the bankers, the lawyers, the accountants, the advisors, any SMEs that have to come in the interim, your silent partner, Uncle Sam, if you haven't done proper planning, etc. Now, there are also, have you heard, there are a lot of intersections, right? So I'm digressing. This is a topic that excites me. This is a topic to which I am profoundly committed. This is an outcome to which I am profoundly committed. So what did I do? After our conversation, I'm like, I wonder what a one-pager would look like on this topic. And so I wrote a prompt and I fed it into the Growth Drive GPT, which is available to growth drivers, the paying members of our community, and it's killer. It is absolutely killer. If you're in the community, it's in your premium resources. So plugged it in. What did I come up with? And what I'm about to scroll through with you, I'm about to basically read and scroll through with you, has had very light editing. The GPT is getting killer. And you're going to hear a lot about that going forward. I also used it for, if you check out our blog post this week, to create an owner dependence to pull. This is cool. I pulled two of the reports that our Clarity, Strategic Capacity, and Business Value Analysis software generates. I fed them into the Growth Drive GPT and asked for it to tell me whether or not owner dependence was low, moderate, or high, and why. And it came back with a killer analysis, also an executive summary that would stand up as a client deliverable, frankly. You have to do some work. Never trust AI 100%. It hallucinates. It freaks out. One of the leaders at OpenAI said that just this last Monday. Okay, let's get into the meat of this. Executive summary. What do I want to talk to you about? What do I want to share with you? What am I hoping you can get some nugget of gold from? This executive summary about collaboration between exit planning wealth advisors and growth advisors using the Growth Drive methodology and process. One more digression. In C3D, one of the modules that I teach with Mike Garrison, right? Thought leader, author of Can I Borrow Your Car? Very, very active in the exit planning wealth advisor space. We talk about collaboration and we talk about several concepts, principles. One is the advisor's pledge. The advisor's pledge, I will honor your role. This is something that all C3D, certified in the 3 dimensions of growth, C3D people learn and commit to. I will honor your role in the engagement. I will keep you in the loop. I will always check in with you. I'm going to overshare where we are and what we're doing. I want you, the wealth advisor, to be 100% confident that you and I are in sync as to where this client needs to end up. And if the client changes their mind, that we are going to tell you. I'm going to make sure you are painfully aware of everything that goes on. And, if anything, overshare. And if the client changes their intent or voices a change in their intent, I'm going to bring you in immediately. And I recognize that your relationship as a wealth advisor with this client is immortal. It transcends their career, and that you have far more at risk financially than I, as the growth advisor, do. Right? I have almost, unfortunately, sort of a transformative transactional role, but my role ends when the business sells. Or if my role continues, it's going to continue with the business and not with the business owner. You, the wealth advisor, continue with the business owner. So that we are teaching this. If you're a wealth advisor listening to this, C3D is a safe person for you to talk to. They are vetted, they are committed, and I can, let's leave that for another blog post. Okay, C3D, game changer. The Clarity, Strategic Capacity, and Business Value Analysis is being used by wealth advisors, exit planning wealth advisors right now, today. As I'm recording this, they are out there using this with clients. They are using the initial analysis to say, hey, let's look at your business as an asset from the private capital markets perspective. Let's understand how they would view your business, because how you see it is mildly interesting. It's how a potential buyer views it. And if your potential buyer is an inside sale, you are going to continue to care very deeply about predictable profits and cash flow and sustainable growth. You need to have high strategic capacity. And if you want to use this business as an oil well from which you will pump cash that you are going to then put into assets under management and other wealth creating vehicles, then we still care about dimension 1, predictable profits and cash flow, and dimension 2, predictable, sustainable business growth. Okay. Now, with that in mind, one more question you should be asking yourself. Hey, George, why are wealth advisors taking the C3D course? Isn't that for business advisors? It is. You're a wealth advisor. 2 things. 1, you're running a business. And if you think that what we're teaching does not apply to your business, your advisory business, we should talk. And don't you want to be able to hang in the conversation? So when a growth advisor comes to you and says, "Hey, XYZ," don't you want to understand, at least in notional terms, what they're talking about? When we start talking about intent and capacity and growth driving objectives, key results, methodology, execution, leadership system, and scorecards. Preparing for due diligence is what this essentially is doing. Don't you want to be able to hang in the conversation? I don't play basketball, but I sure like to know the rules. I like to know what those men are doing, and women, WNBA, love it, running up and down the court are doing. I want to know, who's in the league. Yeah, I want to know a lot about it. Can I step out there? I don't even own a pair of sneakers, but I do want to be able to hang in a conversation about basketball. You want to be able to hang in a conversation about strategic capacity, the private capital markets perspective, growing and monetizing value at a maximized level. Cool. So let's go through this, shall we? I'm going to kind of read this. So those of you watching this as a video, I can follow along. Those of you listening on audio on Spotify, Apple, etc., listen up. So this executive summary is cut into sections. Here's the first section. It's titled "The Role of the Wealth Advisor in Exit Planning." And wealth advisors, they're not licensed or positioned to advise on business operations. Man, didn't the GPT do a good job? But they play a critical role. You play a critical role in advanced wealth planning, in creating succession strategies, in insurance and risk management. Another aside. Check out the Clarity Value Planner, Equity Value Planner, and Protect Value modules, which predict the value that will be needed from the business in order to hit wealth goals. And Protect Value surfaces advanced wealth planning, succession planning, sophisticated compensation planning, and insurance product opportunities at the beginning of the engagement, right? At the beginning of the engagement, and in a way that gets your client, the business owner, to say, "Hey, I might want some of that stuff. I can see why it's important. I didn't even know why it was relevant. I see why it's relevant, and I would like to continue the conversation." So, insurance risk management and converting business equity into investable liquid assets, parens AUM. Okay. Now, realizing these opportunities requires visibility into the client's operational trajectory, right? Which is precisely what the Growth Drive system provides through its structured collaboration model. Section 2, Growth Drive plus C3D, unlocking value through collaboration. Exit planning is a team sport, right? But what if everyone on the field doesn't understand the rules, doesn't understand what the objective of the game is, or has different objectives for the game and is not working at a common purpose? So, Growth Drive plus C3D, unlocking value through collaboration. The Growth Drive system and its C3D certification are purpose-built for collaborative execution. And here's how the C3D-powered growth advisor becomes the ideal business side partner for you, the exit planning wealth advisor. And by the way, growth drivers, you should be having this talk. Download this document and sit down and discuss it with your COIs or your prospective COIs and say, "Hey, here's the type of information I create. Here are the type of people I talk to. Would you like to meet them?" If you're with a business owner, you could say, "Hey, who's your wealth advisor?" "It's Jane. I love Jane. If it's okay with you, I'm going to have a conversation with her about your business as an asset and see if there are things that we might want to make sure we're doing to take care of you." Then you sit down with Jane and you're like, "Hey, man, here's the type of data I generate. I generate this with every client I talk to. Would you like me to generate this data with some other business owners? Maybe could be helpful for you. Or when I find a business owner who doesn't have a Jane, can I introduce them to you? Would that be okay?" All right. The Growth Drive system and its C3D certification are purpose-built for collaborative execution. It is collaboration is one of the first classes in the methodology section, again, with Mike Garrison. Here's how the C3D-powered growth advisor becomes the ideal business side partner for you, a wealth advisor. The Clarity Report, generated at the very beginning of the engagement, reveals strategic capacity gaps, the inability of the business to achieve wealth goals. I'll just shorthand it. Inability to reach its growth potential, and valuation hurdles, meaning the value gap. The value gap contributes to the wealth gap. The elbow is connected to the neck bone. This creates the context for wealth advisors to uncover sophisticated planning needs. I said it before, estate planning, deferred comp planning, buy-sell funding through insurance, and philanthropic vehicles, and so much more. This is an executive summary, right? It's not exhaustive, not an encyclopedia. Next bullet point. C3D advisors stay focused on operational improvements, profits, processes, leadership, while wealth advisors maintain ownership of personal and financial planning. Let me say that again. C3D advisors stay focused on operational improvements such as profits, processes, leadership, and so much more, while wealth advisors maintain ownership of personal and financial planning. This clean division of expertise, it's collaborative with collaborative accountability. This clean division of expertise allows both professionals to operate at the top of their licenses, at the top of their game, delivering exponential value together. Yes, 1 + 1 = like 5. And here's a little quote. Growth Drive gives us the engine room for business value so that we can build a financial plan on rock, not sand. That's a quote from a SEPA CFP. Growth Drive gives us the engine room for business value so we can build a financial plan on rock, not sand. Heck yes. All right. Section 3. Now imagine, as I'm sharing this with you, imagine how these concepts might improve your world. And I don't care what profession you're in. These concepts apply to you. Section 3, why early engagement unlocks planning opportunities. Now, using the Growth Drive tools like the Strategic Capacity and Business Value Report, we call it clarity because it creates total clarity about what the client needs to do to get the success they want. So using clarity at the beginning of the engagement forces the client to clarify their growth goal, their strategic intent, how much value they need to retire to fund their estate plan or to launch their next venture, or frankly, to create an oil well. That's going to be an exit option, the non-exit exit, where you simply exit the accountabilities. Believe me, 2 trillion of capital out there, 10 trillion of businesses. Do some simple math. This reveals the timeline for transformation, allowing wealth advisors to sequence life insurance, wealth transfer vehicles, and advanced trust structures appropriately. And by the way, get your client to put their hand up and say, I want to talk about that. It brings to light key person dependencies, setting the stage for succession incentives, phantom stocks, SARP, SERPs, all of which can be funded through insurance or advanced comp tools. And there's some quotes in here. That's from Varicent. Early planning is especially critical since once a deal is underway, planning options become limited, and never mind limited, they are reactive. And by the way, any of you out there who have had a business owner butt up against reality unprepared, right? Get an LOI and say to heck with it, I'm going to an unsolicited offer and say to heck with it, I'm going after it, and get their teeth kicked in due diligence. You know, you do not want to be in a reactive mode. You want to be in a power seat. All right. Section 4, securing proceeds as AUM after the business sale. When the growth advisor helps improve profitability, operational independence, and market readiness, and the wealth advisor is involved from day one, the final outcome is, first, a more lucrative sale. Guys, the data is in. Growth Drive helps deliver a more lucrative sale. I mean, there are other processes that do. I'm just going to crow about ours. A more lucrative sale, 12 billion and growing in the system, kids. A more lucrative sale driven by improved EBITDA, gross revenues as appropriate, and reduced transfer risk. 2, a fully informed owner, right? An educated owner. Remember, you exit planning wealth advisors, you are by and large educators. A fully informed owner who already trusts the wealth advisor and is ready to transfer proceeds into a pre-structured financial plan. Imagine that. That's why wealth advisors are partnering early with a C3D, certified in the 3 dimensions of growth, certified advisor are best positioned to maintain the relationship post-sale. That relationship becomes even more immortal. Capture the liquidity event as investable AUM. Get ahead of the little whispers that can happen at the deal table and cost you that cash. And continue as the family's trusted financial quarterback. And let me relay a quick story. Business owner with a exit planning wealth advisor decides to sell, is not prepared, goes to market, thinks that their business is going to get, top end of the range of multiples, 6x, and finds out that they're going to get 2x and that the terms are onerous, and sits down with a wealth advisor, and litigation did not ensue, but sits down with their wealth advisor, a person I know who had been trying to have this conversation, and the guy was agitated. And he said, as between you and me, how could you not tell me? He's saying this to the wealth advisor. Wealth advisor isn't a business advisor, but he says, as between you and me, how could you not tell me, small f fiduciary, that this business might not deliver my wealth needs? How could you? That's a fair question. Continue as the family's trusted financial quarterback. By the way, you can tell I enjoy adding color to these, so thanks for humoring me. Okay, this approach has been shown to increase AUM dramatically. The data's in for financial advisors focusing on exit-ready clients. And I want to ask you, if you were an exit planning wealth advisor listening to this, how many business owners do you have in your Rolodex? How many business owners do you want to have in your Rolodex? What is their average annual revenue? What is the revenue and income for each of those businesses? Not that you're their CFO, but wouldn't that be handy information? And the critical number that you don't have is what's their strategic capacity, because that tells you early in the game, you should be having this conversation today. Strategic capacity drives growth and value. And if they don't understand their strategic capacity, their ability to successfully complete an M&A or similar transaction, successfully hold the note when they sell it to their daughter, when they sell it to their management team, successfully create an oil well, then heartbreak ensues. All right. Section 5, risk mitigation and role protection. You're going to have to read this for yourself because I know that I'm riffing on it in a big way. 5, risk mitigation and role protection. Collaboration with a growth drive powered C3D advisor also. Whenever I say the word collaboration, I want you to hear collaborating with accountability. Collaboration, we're not talking about referrals. We are talking about collaborating with accountability, with mutual accountability. Okay, collaboration with a growth drive powered C3D advisor also protects you, the wealth advisor, from overstepping by clearly separating business execution from financial planning. Yep, compliance. Are you listening? Very happy, right? This enhances client trust by presenting a team-based approach that covers all bases: business performance and personal wealth outcomes. The business as the vehicle for delivering wealth dreams. 3, helps clients avoid the devastating consequences of a poorly planned sale where value is lost, no financial strategy exists to catch the windfall. That's a quote from, that's lifted from Planning to Wealth. There's a link in the piece. So here's a summary, right? 5 sections, 5 little paragraphs. Imagine putting those 5 paragraphs, by the way, in a PowerPoint, in a movie. Maybe we'll create those for you. Stay tuned. All right. Here we are on the last page. Summary, how it all connects. Now, for those of you listening, what I have here is a chart with 3 columns and 3 rows. Here, the columns are role, contribution, and value created. Role, 1, contribution, 2, and the value created. For the wealth advisor, that's the role. Contribution, planning, structure, insurance, asset management. Value created, advanced planning opportunities, AUM post-sale. Now, advanced planning opportunities, read planning fees, read nailing your clients. I mean, there's so much great stuff there. Sorry for being blasphemous. And the AUM post-sale. You know what, guy? Who here? Put your hand up. Show of hands. Who is tired of talking AUM, AUM, AUM. Yes, you need to be immensely relevant at the deal table, but there are services you should be delivering today at the beginning of the engagement that are going to enhance your business owning client's life, de-risk their business, and frankly help force them to do some of the thinking. You're going to give away phantom stock. Somebody better sit down and have a big ponder about who gets it, whether they deserve that right, and whether they're the right person to get you from where you are today to where you want to be tomorrow. Now, the wealth advisor doesn't want to have that conversation, but you know who's really good at it? The growth advisor. Okay, role C3D growth advisor. Contribution, operational value growth and business readiness, M&A preparedness. Value created, increased revenues and EBITDA, de-risked transfer, right? Top end of the range of multiples, therefore higher valuation. What's the third dimension of growth? Predictable, transferable value, with the intent being to maximize predictably that transferable value. Role, client outcome. The client, right? That's their role. Contribution, trusted guidance across business and personal domains. Value created, successful exit, fulfilled financial legacy, and family security. Now imagine if a growth advisor has successful exit, fulfilled financial legacy, and family security as their small f fiduciary, that they understand that is the way to go. Not this silly, it's not silly, right? But I need to grow net income to $3 million. Now, here's another aside. Why? Why $3 million? What does $3 million do for you? In the C3D certification, and you wealth advisors, you would love the growth conversation. You can have it today in the playbook. Here it is. I'm going to hold it up. Anybody who takes a C3D course, in fact, I'm getting FedEx Pops. We got a bunch of them out, headed to Happy Homes. So the Stork is delivering boxes today. Now, in the playbook, there's a section, tab 5, on the growth conversation. It starts with the growth conversation works like a dream. And there are a bunch of resources, including scripts, et cetera. The growth conversation, what's different about a growth advisor, a C3D, is that they understand that the most successful engagements start with, never mind all that. Where does your story go? Where do you need to be? What's important to you? And we can get to the dollar signs, but we also need to understand legacy, post career life, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And if we don't understand that, how can we possibly work on this business outside of the concept, outside of that context? Because your client is the shareholder, right? And those shares need to deliver. All right, big fat digression. Successful exit, fulfilled financial legacy, and family security. Now let's follow up that chart with why it's the surest path. Because it aligns incentives, respects professional boundaries, and puts clients first. Imagine that. The growth drive system surfaces wealth opportunities earlier. 2, reduces exit risk. 3, increases business sale proceeds. The data's in. And 4, converts those proceeds, or helps you convert those proceeds into AU. And wealth advisors, I am profoundly aware of the multiples that you are getting for your advisory businesses right now. The market is white hot, right? And those, every dollar that you get as AU, sit down, scratch it out, put it on a pad. Imagine you get 3 times 10 million, right? 3 deals go through at $10 million in net to your client each. What impact is that having on the value of your advisory business? You should be thinking about that. I know you are. All right. So this is not just a system. It's a proven path to shared success for business owners, growth advisors, and wealth advisors alike. I'm going to say that again. This is not just a system. It's a proven path to shared success for business owners, growth advisors, and wealth advisors alike. Imagine, imagine, imagine harnessing what we've just discussed here. Imagine harnessing what we've just described. Please imagine the conversations that you, with a collaboratively accountable advisor riding shotgun together, can do to transform the businesses and therefore the lives of your clients. And now let me get selfish, not just of the clients, but of their stakeholders, employees, families, and importantly, the communities in which they exist. So with that, I'm going to say thank you very much. If you want to know more, you know how to reach me. And I'm looking forward to the next iteration. Listen, you can download this. There are a couple of different ways to download this as a resource if you want to check it out yourself. And you can go to the Growth Drive community. You can go. You can probably download it in our what we call the pod blog, the podcast, which we publish as a blog. So check it out. Go to growth-drive.com, growth-drive.com, and we will email us, and we'll be happy to send you one. Cool. All right. Thank you. Have a great day. This episode is brought to you by the Growth Drive Summit. Our theme this year is building a profitable advisory business. Join us in Charleston, South Carolina, October 6th, 7th, and 8th. Expand your network, learn new skills, and generally have a good time. This is a top-rated event. We're looking forward to seeing you there. Thank you.